and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Noah, and today I have a very exciting video that I would like to share with all of you. Since formulating this channel, I have made many points as to why starting your investment journey for retirement as early on in your working career as possible is absolutely crucial for long-term success and happiness. So, in the spirit of this opinion, I have formulated the series that I have coined The Road to Riches, an Amateur's Investment Journey. And I know many of you are probably wondering, well, Noah, what is the road to riches and what does it entail? I've never heard of it. Well, I will tell you. I thought it would be an absolutely great idea to finally put my money where my fat mouth was and start using real income to formulate a personalized investment portfolio that you, the viewer, can follow along the course of a long period of time. You, the viewer, will get to see three absolutely crucial details that make up an investment portfolio. The first thing is the financial decisions that I make personally to invest in my portfolio. The second thing will be the performance of my portfolio on a month-to-month basis, essentially in real time. The third and most important detail that you, the viewer, will get to see is, well, is investing right for you? And is it a good way to start growing your wealth for a prosperous and comfortable retirement? With all of that being said, I hope you are just as excited as I am to embark on this investment journey. This journey is going to contain real money, real stakes, and potentially real rewards. With that being said, let's get right into the video. Okay, so here we are back in Excel again. I cannot seem to make a video without using the powerful tools that Excel has to offer here. So before I get into throwing money around as the title of the video suggests, I would like to elaborate on my thought process when not only thinking of this type of video, but also, how I determined where the money should be going, essentially why and how I should be spending my money within the investment market. So the first thought that I had before spending $10,000 on a single stock or risking it on Bitcoin or Dogecoin or whatever else is out there right now, my initial thought was to look back in time to see what has been working for 10, 20, 30 years and see if I could emulate that moving forward with my personal portfolio. One thing I do want to mention as a disclaimer, this portfolio that I'm creating for this series here is not my only portfolio. I have two other investment portfolios that I use for my retirement planning as well, but this is the only portfolio that I have full control over and allows me to pick every single stock, ETF, bond, whatever it may be, to try to accumulate wealth for the long run. So after doing my own research, I was able to identify 13 disparate ETFs that I thought would be great starting points for this portfolio. The names or identifiers of these ETFs are listed in column A here. I'm not going to get into each and every one of them because that would be an entire video just in itself, but here they are in column A. Column B is going to represent the return rate on an annual basis that I was able to pull from the database that I was looking at that reflects their performance historically over the last 5, 10, and 15 years and so on. And then from there, I converted that annual return rate to a monthly return rate, which will help me determine if my portfolio is performing as I expected it should be. So now that we have identified a bunch of different ETFs, solid investment options, now is the time to determine where we put the $10,000 that we're going to use in this first episode. And the easiest way that I personally determined to decide where all of this money should be going was to simply look back and see which ones were the strongest performers, invest heavily in those, and then from there try to diversify with some leftover income. So when you work in any kind of data analysis or any kind of analysis for that matter, one of the main things that we like to do is try to identify outliers by just looking at the data without performing any kind of in-depth analyses of hundreds of data points and so on. So as I'm looking at the annual return rates for these ETFs, let's find the outliers. So one of the ones that I can see here is this 12.71. Another one is this one, the 13, and then I see another 12, and then I see another 13. And we're just going to highlight these. So naturally, for me as an investor, I'm eyeing up the investments that have the highest return rate. And another important thing to note is that these investments, particularly these 4 ETFs here, had this type of performance, this 12 and 13% for about a 15-year period. So we know it probably wasn't a fluke. So these ETFs here, the VOO, VOOG, QQQ, and SCHD, are the ETFs that I'm going to put the majority of the $10,000 into. And then from there, I'm going to use the rest of the money and kind of disperse it amongst the other top performers. So when we're looking to identify the second best ETFs in this example, we kind of look at, what's the closest number that's not as high as our top performers, but not as low as the lowest performers. So the immediate ones that I'm seeing right now are maybe this 8 here. This 9.5 is pretty good. I see an 8.5 and then a 8.72. And we're going to highlight these just in a different color here as well. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 different ETFs that are relatively strong performers. 4 of them are very strong performers, and the other 4 are pretty decent performers over the roughly 15-year period that I was able to look back into. So out of these 8, we are going to start allocating the $10,000 and decide where that money is going to go. So now I was able to determine where I wanted to disperse this initial $10,000 investment. And this is kind of what I came up with. I wanted to put $2,000 in each of the 4 strongest performing ETFs, and then I wanted to put $500 into the, second tier ETFs. So 2,000 in VOO, 2,000 in VOOG, 2,000 in QQQ, and then 2,000 in SCHD, and 500 in the other 4. And with these initial investments, what I can do using the annual and then monthly return rates that I was able to pull historically, I can kind of guesstimate what my investments should be as long as the investments in their current state continue the performance that they had previously. So if the performance indicators were accurate from my research, this is roughly what my investments will be at the end of the first month of investing, which will be the end of October 2023. You can see that my initial 500 into VIS ideally is going to be 503, and my 2,000 that I put into VOO should ideally be 2021, and so on and so forth. So what's essentially going to happen now is that I am going to continue to invest not $10,000, but a decent sum of money into these investments and maybe other ones as they accumulate on a month-to-month basis. So on the first of every single month moving forward, I am going to have an essential investing day where I'm going to record what different investments I'm kind of looking into, and then I will show you the breakdown of how I'm going to incorporate that money into my portfolio. And this also allows us to kind of look at the previous month's performance to see if we're on track or not. I also have a couple columns at the end here, which are the 6-month anticipated amount or predicted amount, and then the 1-year predicted amount. So as it sits, if we put the $10,000 into these accounts and then just left them sit after 1 year, that $500 that I put into VIS would be $542, assuming that their historical trends remain the same. That $2,000 would be $2,177, and so on and so forth. But the important thing to note, like I mentioned earlier, is that on a monthly basis, we are actually going to be putting more money into this portfolio, therefore into these different investments. So the 6-month and 1-year anticipated returns are going to be dynamic in that they're going to change over time. I hope this was a good amount of information as far as my thought process behind choosing the investments that I'm going to go with. So now let's get right into actually purchasing these ETFs. Okay, so here we are within the Charles Schwab investment portfolio page. This is their dashboard for their individual brokerage account, which is what I will be using for this series. This is basically my avenue to buy all of the stocks and ETFs that I choose to for the Road to Riches series. Now, I know there's quite a few things going on this page right now, but for the purpose of this video, we're really only going to be focusing on the buying of these different ETFs to keep it nice and simple. So like I said, there's quite a few things going on screen right now, but the most important thing that we want to focus on, as the title of this video suggests, is the $10,000 that I will be spending in this video on these individual ETFs and so on. And that amount we can see is right here. $10,000 and no change. An important thing to note when using at least this Charles Schwab investment system is that when you transfer money over into this account to invest and so on, it usually takes about a day for the account here on the Charles Schwab side to register that amount. So that's kind of why I'm here the next day after transferring the money the night before. So now that we have all of that information out of the way, I think we are finally ready to start purchasing each of these ETFs. So on this page here, we can actually look into different stocks and ETFs and so on and do research on them, but more importantly, we can buy and sell them. So I have the 4 that I'm really going to put the most money into, $2,000 each, right here in my recently searched, because I was looking at them before starting the recording here. So let's start with the SCHD and then go from there. So on this page here, we can see, this is the symbol is SCHD. That's correct. It is the Schwab US Dividend ETF, and then the unit price right now is $69.76 per share. So there's a lot of things going on here on this page as well. But for the purposes of this video, like I said, we're going to keep it really, really simple. Look down here towards action. This is what we want to do with this ETF, and we, of course, want to buy, right? Next is going to be the quantity, and you can pick, whatever quantity you want. As we discussed earlier, I'm going to do $2,000 into this ETF just in itself. So I will just start cranking away at the quantity addition here, and what we can actually see down here in the estimated amount is that it's basically going to multiply the quantity by the current price, or right now it's the closing price, and give us a estimated total. So we're just going to crank away at that until we get to roughly $2,000, 2023. Look at that, perfect. This is the year, right? This is a good sign. So we want to buy 29 shares of this for $2,023. We do want to reinvest dividends. As you recall, the projections that I estimated in Excel were based off of years of reinvesting dividends. So we definitely want to make sure that that's checked. So all of the kickback that we get from this ETF will go right back into it. Order type, there's a few different ones here, which we're not really going to get into. The only one that we're concerned about right now is the market and the timing. There's also a few, if you look right here, as I said, we're going to keep it simple. So we're just going to keep it, the order type set to market, and then the timing set to day. And basically what this will mean is that at the beginning of the next business day or open day, at the beginning of the day, it's going to just make this transaction happen and purchase the 2023 estimated dollars worth of these ETFs. So now we are on the page right before placing our order, so we can just review again just to make sure. It's always a good idea to be sure, right? Especially when we're throwing around thousands of dollars like this. Warnings. Dividends will be reinvested. We want that. That's what we want, right? Info only. The market is now closed, which is true. It is currently 4:09 p.m. Central. The market closes at 4 Eastern, so it closed about an hour ago, meaning on Monday, first thing in the morning, this transaction will occur. Before placing this order, please verify that the information is correct. Yes, 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 it looks correct. And I think we are good to go. So now we are going to place this order. Boom, order received. and we have our order number, we can save that. That's probably a good idea to save that as well. So what we want to do now that this order is complete, is we want to do that for every single one of those 4 well-performing ETFs, and then the other 4 medium-performing ETFs. So I'm not going to bore you with all of the mundane aspects of placing the order. I'm just going to get to the end so you can see all of the orders being placed. Okay, so we are here with our last bit of buying right now. As you can see, the total amount available to trade has depleted quite a bit. We're down to our last $440, and it looks like we didn't end up perfectly, at a zero amount, which is to be expected. But this purchase right here is going to give us a balance of about $20. So I think we did decent as far as calculating how much we were going to be spending on each of these ETFs today. So the last one, VTI, we're going to buy 2 of them. Obviously, dividends reinvested market on Monday. Review the order, of course, always. Dividends reinvested, good. And place order. And there we go. So now we are down to $15. So I think we did pretty decent. We were able to spend right around $10,000, which is pretty crazy to think about. But it's a really good first step to start building this portfolio, and hopefully to show you guys that this is a very good way to start accumulating wealth for retirement and a easy living. Okay, so there you have it. That concludes episode 1 of my series, The Road to Riches, an amateur's investment journey, here on my YouTube channel. I plan on releasing many more of these episodes so you and I together can determine if my portfolio is doing well or if I'm losing all of my money. With that being said, if you have any questions for me personally, or if you want to take a look at the financial services that I can provide to you, I've left my email and a link to my company website in the description box below. Thank you again for your time today, and happy financing.